us by incarcerating us and sectioning us. They assault us and abuse us. They speak for and against us. They exploit us. They take away our very existence and the idea of a future, as we know from the UK pension strike. But together with women across the globe, we strike back. We strike out for women incarcerated in prisons and detention centres like Yarlswood, for whom today we represent their presence here now while they're locked up. And remember that they're on hunger strike and on labour strike. They're refusing to do the enforced work that they have to do there as well. Okay. We strike for sisters around the world, like Ahed Tamimi, who's in prison now, the 17-year-old Palestinian representing the ongoing Palestinian struggle. We strike out for women in the sweated industries, the clothes and the workshops, where we'll go down the road now and go and buy some of those things, or go to ASOS and take them off of the delivery. We strike for those women too. We strike for the cleaners, the workers, the hotel staff, all of those that we've already talked about, all of those on or below the living wage. We strike for the homeless and the women who are in resistance, like the E15 campaign or the Justice for Grenfell, who in being homed were covered up, were to be obliterated from eyesight by those wealthy bourgeois who lived down the road, who couldn't bear to see them living. But my God, what a life they were living, as we saw it being inflamed in that grotesque fire. We strike out for our trans sisters. We strike out for our sisters who are non-binary. We strike out for all our compañeros and comrades for whom gender has no meaning, but who are enforced to abide by particular normativities. We strike out for women battling against domestic abuse, sexual abuse and exploitation. Even now, while we're here, those who are being beaten, abused, what's the word? Sorry, it's gone. Age. And we strike out for new forms of representation too. All of the work that young women are doing about crafting new ways of representing those of us across all ethnicities, all sexualities, gendered or not gendered. We fight for the dignity and respect of those of our elder sisters in care homes, many of whom have no one, but we strike out and speak with them too. But we can only do this together. We can only do it together, but not in the image of only one kind of woman. This was the history of black feminist interventions, and that continues now, particularly through the trans intervention. It cannot be in the image of one womanhood only. It has to be in a conversation. We have to be open to learning, a praxis of becoming shown to us by all the ways in which we create interventions anew. We have to be able to articulate the particularities, the ways in which the articulation of gender and race and class and sexual hatreds, disableism, come together in London, in Manchester, in Leeds, in Coventry, in some country places, differently from Palestine, from Lebanon, from Nigeria. We have to understand the particularities in order to take on the global forces as they gather in a network of their own enforcement. They know how to organise, we know how to organise too. And we strike out to understand the ways in which there is an afterlife, a living afterlife now, of forms of a transatlantic enslavement and colonialism, and the ways in which it structures how we live now. For example, the ways in which Caribbean people who came here on their mother's passports and who are now 50, 60, 70 years old, came on their mother's passports, who are being deported because women are not allowed to pass on anything to their children, a legacy of a transatlantic enslavement if there wasn't one, if we didn't know of one. We need to know the ways in which all of the immigration laws and deportation and the modes of exploitation are indeed neo-colonial forms of segmenting what might be a unified, indifferent section of women organising around the world in solidarity for our futures that we strike out to make happen, futures that we decide the terms of, and futures which will allow people of my generation to pass something on to the children and indeed grandchildren. We strike out!
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 We strike out!